55 men, hunkered down behind closed doors, had to pull off something in 4 months that had not been attempted in any other country in all human history. In 1787, representatives from the 13 American states gathered in Philadelphia to draft the United States Constitution, a blueprint of laws for a new nation. They had few examples to guide them. They disagreed more than they agreed. An entire nation, many of whose citizens had risked their lives to make this day possible, was breathing down their necks. These men knew they had to get the job done. Week in, week out, the debates raged, and at times disagreement threatened to scuttle their efforts. They were certain of one thing, however. They could not establish a true democracy. The U.S. Constitution could not give all the people power. Why not? Nearly half of the 55 men who met to draft the Constitution owned other human beings. While they toiled in Philadelphia, these founding fathers utterly depended on the forced labor of other people for their own livelihoods. They had no intention of freeing the more than 700,000 men, women, and children, about 1/5 of the entire population, who remained in bondage in the United States. African American people, both enslaved and free, perfectly understood what was at stake. During the American Revolution, thousands of them had run away from their enslavers, taking the promises of the Declaration of Independence at face value. Thousands more had fought in the war for freedom from Great Britain and returned home on equal footing with all patriots. Their liberty was infectious. We are endowed with the same faculties as our masters, 2 enslaved men petitioned the Connecticut state legislature, and the more we consider of this matter, the more we are convinced of our right to be free. The Constitution dashed these hopes. The new nation would be a place where slavery thrived instead of disappeared. With the question of slavery out of the way, the framers still had to figure out what to do about the rest of the population. Who would have power in this brand new country? Who would get to decide? And rather than settle this issue once and for all, the framers did something unexpected with that burning question of representation, the very thing that had sparked the epic fight to gain independence from Great Britain in the first place. Instead of insisting on the last word, they let the states decide who could vote and who could not. There would be no single rule written into the Constitution. For most of the next century, each state made a different call on this all-important question, a fact with dire consequences for the American majority. The framers might have believed they had performed a kind of magic trick in Philadelphia by making the problem of inequality disappear. But the truth is that they made sure that the revolution had not really ended and that Americans would be fighting for representation for the next 237 years and more. The irony of our history is that the original United States Constitution, the blueprint of our democracy, did not actually give Americans the right to vote, the very thing that defines democracy in the first place. In the beginning, with independence, a new constitution, and 13 states, here's where things stood. Only a small handful of women could vote, and only in one single state. The New Jersey Constitution, passed in 1776, specifically referred to voters as they, which meant men and women. 14 years later, state legislators went even further, referring to legal voters as he or she. No other state in the young nation had singled out women as having the right to vote. Most states kept property requirements, especially ownership of land or real estate, for voting, which meant that even the majority of men, sailors, carpenters, dock workers, blacksmiths, and even soldiers, remained unrepresented in the new government. All states treated Native Americans like outsiders or foreigners, to be negotiated with or invaded and defeated. Some states allowed free black people to vote, but others prohibited them from casting ballots. In all, approximately 1/3 of the population could vote. Who could call that a democracy? None of this was a secret to any person living in the new United States.